You ever watch an NFL storyline play out and get that deep down feeling that you're not getting the full picture? I'm exactly where I'm at with this entire Sanders situation in Cleveland. On the surface, the official explanation sounds simple, just a minor injury during drills. Nothing major, nothing to really worry about. But the more I think about it, the more I start pulling at those loose threads. The more it starts to feel like there's something bigger at play here. This isn't just a random incident or a case of bad luck. This feels deliberate. And maybe, just maybe, it's the kind of situation the Browns would rather the public not dig into too much. Because when you really look at how it all unfolded, the timing, the reaction, and the details, none of it adds up. Oh, the way they want you to believe it does. It all started earlier today during the very first set of drills. I'm on the sideline, locked in on Sanders. Because let's be honest, this guy has been the heartbeat of Cleveland's preseason. Every single snap he's taken so far has been electric. His drives have been crisp, confident, and full of energy. You can feel the difference when he's on the field. The offense moves sharper, the team plays looser, and the crowd leans forward just a little more. Then, out of nowhere, it happens. He slows down. Not a dramatic fall, not a limp, not a grimace. Of pain, just a subtle, almost casual stop. Moments later, the news filters down. Oblique injury. And just like that, he's done for the day. No more reps, no more drills, completely shut down. And right there, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I've been around this league long enough to recognize the difference between a genuine injury that demands immediate rest and one that feels a little too convenient for the moment. And this one? This one smelled like it had been planned. Here's the part that makes it even stranger. People close to Sanders are saying it's nothing serious. We're talking basic soreness. No tear, no strain, no MRI showing something that should sideline him during this crucial stretch. In fact, this isn't even new for him. He's played through this exact type of soreness before, and no one would have known if they weren't told. Just look back at his last game, he was flawless. I'm talking about a guy dropping absolute dimes, controlling the offense like a veteran, making smart reads under pressure, and moving the ball downfield with efficiency and confidence. He was in rhythm. He was hot. He was proving he could handle the pressure and the responsibility. So if he could play through it before and never miss a beat, why pull him now? Why shut him down at the very moment when his stock is skyrocketing and all eyes are starting to lock on him? That's the moment where you stop focusing on the so-called injury and start looking at the bigger picture. Kevin Stefanski has been giving us the same polished coach talk we've heard 100 times before. We're developing all our quarterbacks. We're evaluating a fair shot. We're evaluating all the options. It sounds good. It sounds diplomatic. But then the depth chart comes out, and suddenly we're not in the same reality anymore. Sanders, after arguably putting on the single best quarterback performance of the entire preseason, is sitting at 4th on the list. Not 2nd, not 3rd. 4th, and here's the kicker: 2 of the guys in front of him, Dillon and Pickett, are injured. So now we're not just talking about questionable decisions. We're talking about something that defies logic altogether. How do you justify keeping him buried that low, unless this isn't about merit, performance, or readiness? The only thing that makes sense is that this is about control. It's about keeping Sanders exactly where certain people want him, no matter what the tape shows or how loud the fan base gets. And then just when the noise starts building, when reporters, analysts, and national voices like Dan Orlovsky are flat out saying that Sanders should be getting first-team reps, the story takes another turn. Suddenly, it's not an oblique injury anymore. Now, they're calling it arm soreness. And just like that, they're saying, it's nothing serious, he could be back tomorrow.
Really?
After the sudden shutdown, after the depth chart fiasco, after all the whispers, we're supposed to take that at face value. The story keeps changing, and every time it does, it seems to protect the same agenda. You have to start asking yourself, who benefits from that confusion? Pulling the strings? Here's what I know about football. When a player is hot, you don't slow him down, you ride that wave. You keep him on the field, you give him every rep you can, and you see just how far that momentum can carry you. That's how great teams operate. But what I'm seeing in Cleveland right now looks like the exact opposite. It looks like someone is hitting the brakes on purpose. It looks like a strategic slowdown, executed just as he's picking up speed. Believe me, I've seen this playbook before. When a coach doesn't want a certain player to rise too quickly, they don't make it obvious by benching him outright. That would be too risky. Instead, they start nitpicking. They bury him in the depth chart. They control the narrative with vague, precautionary language that sounds reasonable to casual fans, but behind the scenes works like a dead weight on the player's career. The great coaches in this league know how to take a player's strengths and build around them. They find ways to set him up for success, to let him prove himself, to give him the platform to silence the doubters. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is the opposite. Sanders has fought tooth and nail for every bit of momentum he's got through his performance, through his consistency, through results that are right there on film and yet almost overnight. It's like someone decided to pull the plug. This doesn't feel like caution. This doesn't feel like standard injury management. It feels like a chess match. And the question now isn't just about whether Sanders will get his shot, it's about who's moving the pieces, what the real endgame is. Till someone steps up with a straight answer, I'll keep asking the same thing. What's really going on in Cleveland? You ever watch something in the NFL and just feel it in your gut like? This isn't just about football? They'll stand at the podium and tell you it's about depth charts, reps, and coaching decisions. But if you've been paying attention, you know there's something else in the air. That's exactly what's going on right now with Sanders. And the Cleveland Browns. This doesn't feel like your standard quarterback competition. It feels like a slow burn drama where every move means more than it seems. Every explanation has another layer, and every press conference leaves you with more questions than answers. And the deeper you dig, the more it starts to look like this. It's about politics, control, and perception, maybe even more than it's about pure talent. A few days ago, ESPN's Dan Orlovsky didn't just weigh in, he came in swinging. No soft edges, no polite phrasing. He said what a lot of people have been thinking. You can't keep a player like Sanders buried on the depth chart without a rock-solid reason. If you're gonna bench him, you better have undeniable proof that he can't play. Because I guess. Otherwise, it's all just excuses. And here's the problem for Stefanski. There's no proof he can't play. In fact, all the evidence says he can. Orlovsky's point was simple, but it hit hard. Sanders already proved he can handle the moment. His preseason wasn't luck. It wasn't a flash in the pan. He played like a veteran reading defenses, staying calm, delivering the ball in rhythm. No panic, no boneheaded rookie mistakes, just clean, controlled football. He looked like he belonged, like a guy you want to see against better competition. Orlovsky basically said, prove to me he can't. Do it. And so far, Sanders has done the opposite. Then came the twist. Stefanski announces Sanders has an oblique injury. Suddenly he's out for the next game. No building on his momentum, no more live reps, no chance to push for a bigger role. And sure, maybe it's bad luck. But for a lot of fans, the timing felt too perfect. Almost like the kind of injury that solves a problem for the coaching staff. If you've been following closely, this isn't the first time it's felt. Like the Browns have found a way to keep him off the field. Fans were ready to see him get more snaps, maybe even some first team work. Instead, they got an injury update. Frustration exploded. Social media lit up. And then the conversation shifted. People started calling for a trade. Not because they didn't believe in Sanders, but because they didn't believe Cleveland would ever give him a fair shot. And here's where it gets serious. Mick Wright reports that Sanders has told people close to him that if the Browns keep treating him like this, he wants out. That's not just frustration talking, that's a statement. If they won't let him compete here, he'd rather be somewhere that will. And one team's name keeps popping up, the Los Angeles Rams. Think about it. The Rams make sense. Matthew Stafford is the clear starter, no drama. Sanders could learn behind a Super Bowl winning QB, develop without all the noise, and be ready. For the moment, Stafford's done. For LA, it's smart future planning. For Cleveland, you could sell it as a business move. Drafted him in the 5th, flipped him for a 4th, call it a win. But trades send messages. Moving Sanders now tells the locker room, the league, and the fans exactly how this organization handles young talent, and Jimmy Haslam knows it. He's seen the buzz Sanders has created. He knows that trading him before giving him a real shot could backfire in a big way. So here's the real question. What matters more to Cleveland? Protecting the current narrative, or developing the guy who's given fans a reason to believe? Because Sanders has shown skill, composure, leadership, everything you'd want from a young QB. But instead of building on that, the Browns look stuck between protecting the depth chart and unlocking their future. Now the rumors are flying, the pressure's mounting, and the clock's ticking. Is Sanders really being held back for non-football reasons? Is the injury legit or just a convenient excuse? If he goes to LA, does he finally get his shot, or does this turn into one of those what could have been stories fans tell for? Years, one thing's certain, this isn't the end. Not even close. Sanders doesn't seem like the type to just fade out quietly. And every game he's on the sideline in Cleveland is only going to make the noise louder.